Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're undertaking a fascinating study in, well, technological violence.
That's one way to put it.
We're deep diving into the siege engine, or the catapult, and how its evolution was really the ultimate answer to this age-old problem, the impenetrable city wall.
It's a remarkable journey through ingenuity. Our mission here is to trace that evolution, not just the machines themselves, but the problems they solved.
And the impact they had, right? I mean, this goes way beyond the battlefield.
Oh, far beyond. It had this profound, lasting impact on engineering, on society itself.
Okay, so let's unpack that. It's wild that this all starts with two completely independent origin stories, thousands of miles apart.
Exactly. In China, around the 5th century BCE, you get the earliest version, the jish. It was all about muscle and leverage.
The human traction catapult.
Right. It needed this huge crew, dozens, sometimes hundreds of people pulling ropes all at once. It worked, it could throw things, but the power was inconsistent and, it had zero mobility.
Meanwhile, the Greeks came at it from a totally different angle. Torsion.
Yes, by the 4th century BCE, torsion was the key to consistency. Instead of human muscle, machines like the Roman ballista used these tightly packed bundles of twisted animal sinews.
So like a massive, powerful spring.
A perfect analogy. It allowed energy to be stored really efficiently and then released instantly. Much more reliable than a bunch of guys pulling ropes.
But they still had that mobility problem. And that's where the next big step came in, didn't it?
It did. During the Eastern Han Dynasty, Cao comes up with the Trebuchet, the thunderbolt cart.
He just put wheels on it.
Essentially, yes. He mounted these huge devices on wheels, and suddenly the siege engine is a strategic offensive weapon you can actually move around.
But even with all that, they kind of hit a ceiling.
They hit a wall, literally. It took until the 12th century, around the Eastern Mediterranean, for engineers to abandon both muscle and sinew entirely.
Which brings us to the counterweight trebuchet. The gravity engine. It seems so obvious now. Why did it take so long to figure out gravity was the best engine?
Well, it's about the scale. Building a lever strong enough to handle the kind of weights they needed that required some serious structural engineering.
And what kind of weights are we talking about?
We're talking 4, 5, up to 13 metric tons for the counterweight. The physics are so elegant, you lift that weight, you store immense potential energy, and then you just let it drop.
Unbelievable power. And this is the tech that travels back east along the Silk Road with the Mongol Empire. The Hui Pao?
The Muslim trebuchet, yes. And the military impact was just total. The siege of Shenyang in 1273 is the classic example.
That city had held out for years, right?
5 years. A monument to its own defense. But when the Hui Pao was deployed, contemporary records say the stones were entering the ground 7 feet.
7 feet?
It forced their immediate surrender. It basically ended the age of the purely stone-defended city.
So it changed warfare. But what about the wider societal impact? You can't just build these things in a shed.
Precisely. It demanded systems thinking. For example, in Song Dynasty China, they developed modular design to build and repair them faster.
Standardized parts.
Exactly. Arms, axles, ropes. They could be mass-produced and swapped out on the battlefield. This created a huge class of specialized artisans, blacksmiths, woodworkers, and a blueprint for modern logistics.
And the science wasn't just in the build, but in the use. You had to aim them.
Oh, absolutely. They moved from just crude estimation to really sophisticated techniques, understanding trajectory, energy conversion, all driven by the need to hit a single fixed point on a wall miles away.
And it all comes back to that idea of cross-cultural fusion.
It really is the perfect example. Chinese traction tech moves west, and then the superior counterweight tech moves back east. The greatest leaps always come from that kind of exchange.
So ultimately, the catapult's history is this incredible story of human ingenuity being driven by necessity.
It is. It reveals these key principles: lever mechanics, energy storage, logistics, that are, the very bedrock of modern engineering. When we face an impossible wall, we innovate on a scale that changes everything that follows.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over. Consider how much of today's advanced technology, from robotics to structural design, is really just rooted in finding new ways to harness simple, predictable natural forces.
Yeah.
Just like ancient engineers learned how to turn gravity into a weapon that could shatter city walls.